What if I told you that almost every ache you feel, every stubborn pound you can't lose, every afternoon crash, every craving that controls you, every bloated morning, every sleepless night, every joint that hurts when you stand up, all trace back to one single problem inside your body? And what if the solution isn't a pill, a diet, or a workout plan, but one simple, powerful shift that your ancestors understood and your modern lifestyle has nearly erased? The shocking truth is this: 99% of the health struggles people battle today don't come from age, genetics, or bad luck. They come from one internal system that has been screaming for help, whispering through symptoms you've been told to ignore, and collapsing under the weight of the foods, habits, and toxins we call normal. Your body has been whispering to you for years, but you've been told those whispers are normal. The afternoon crash, the bloating that happens even when you eat healthy, the stiffness in your joints when you get out of bed, the brain fog that makes you reread the same sentence 3 times, the cravings that seem stronger than your willpower. We label these things as age, stress, lifestyle, or bad luck, but the truth is far more targeted, far more specific, and far more within your control than you've ever been told. There is a single barrier inside you, a fragile but brilliantly designed interface between the outside world and the deepest inner workings of your body. And when that barrier breaks down, every system you rely on begins to malfunction in ways you can feel but can't explain. This one thing is the integrity of the gut-immune interface, the living shield that separates what you eat from what your body absorbs, what helps you from what harms you, what nourishes you from what inflames you. It is the most important regulatory checkpoint in your entire physiology, the gatekeeper of nutrients, toxins, hormones, and signaling molecules. When it functions, you feel younger than your age. When it cracks, your health unravels, slowly first, then all at once. And almost nobody knows it's happening to them until the symptoms stack so high they can't be ignored. Imagine a fortress wall made of intelligent, self-repairing cells. On one side is everything you eat, every compound your ancestors evolved to tolerate, and every modern additive your body was never built to handle. On the other side is your bloodstream, the highway your immune system uses to send messages, the fuel pathway your mitochondria depend on, and the delicate hormonal orchestra that makes you feel balanced, steady, and energized. Now imagine that wall developing microscopic cracks, tiny openings that allow the wrong molecules to slip through. To your immune system, these molecules look like invaders. It reacts exactly as it's supposed to react in the face of danger, with inflammation, with defense chemicals, with heightened alert. But when the threat never stops, neither does the alarm. What begins as a small immune response becomes a chronic storm. Your body tries to fight what it believes is an attack, but the attack is coming from inside, through the compromised barrier that should have been protecting you. This is the root cause of fatigue that doesn't improve, cravings that feel irrational, joint pain that seems unrelated to diet, slow metabolism, poor sleep, skin flares, mood swings, and weight that won't budge even when you eat less. Your immune system has shifted from protecting you to reacting to you, and the symptoms you experience are simply collateral damage from a system doing the best it can with a broken foundation. The modern diet accelerates this breakdown. Stress accelerates it. Poor sleep accelerates it. Processed foods accelerate it. Certain plant defense compounds accelerate it. Even the healthy foods you were told you must eat to be well can accelerate it. And because these cracks form slowly, almost invisibly, you begin to accept the consequences as part of who you are, rather than what is malfunctioning inside you. You tell yourself you are tired because you're busy, bloated because you ate late, gaining weight because of age, unmotivated because of stress. But deep down, you know these explanations feel incomplete. They don't connect. They don't add up. And that's because none of them point to the real source. Fix the gut immune interface and everything downstream stabilizes. Energy rises because mitochondria can finally work without interference. Cravings fade because your brain no longer misinterprets immune signals as hunger. Inflammation drops because your immune system finally gets to stand down. Mood elevates because neurotransmitters begin producing at normal rates again. Weight shifts because insulin sensitivity improves and metabolic signaling resets. And perhaps the most surprising part is how fast these changes can happen once the root cause is addressed. The body isn't broken, it's overloaded, overwhelmed, and desperately trying to protect you from an internal environment it can no longer regulate. The truth is simple. When you fix this core defect, 99% of your symptoms don't need to be treated individually. They resolve because the system that caused them finally stops sounding the alarm. You don't need more willpower, more medications, more suppressive strategies, or more complicated routines. You need restoration of the barrier that governs everything else. This is the one thing almost no one talks about, but you will feel it in every breath, every meal, every morning, every night. And it is the starting point for every transformation you've been trying to achieve for years. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize the problem they're fighting isn't the problem they think. They've blamed their weight, their stress, their age, their genetics, their schedule, even their lack of discipline. But the real issue has been hiding in plain sight, disguised as normal food, wrapped in labels that promise energy, health, convenience, and vitality. Yet behind those labels sit compounds your ancestors never encountered, ingredients your gut lining cannot tolerate, and molecular structures your immune system interprets as danger. And the most shocking part is how quickly these foods can sabotage you long before you feel a single symptom. Every bite you take isn't just calories or flavor. It's a signal. It's either telling your body to repair or to defend, to store fat or burn it, to quiet inflammation or ignite it. And modern foods have mastered the art of sending the wrong signals. Some of the most common ingredient until one day your health collapses under the weight of silent inflammation you never saw coming. The biggest offenders are often the ones we've been told are healthy, heart-friendly, or essential. Certain grains contain compounds designed by the plant to ensure it survives being eaten. These compounds don't harm the plant, they harm the predator. And in the modern world, that predator is you. Seed oils that are marketed as clean and light are, in reality, highly unstable under heat and inside the body. They oxidize quickly, triggering inflammatory cascades your immune system has to respond to. Sugars and refined starches hijack your insulin pathways and feed the very microbes that disrupt gut balance. Even artificial sweeteners, supposed saviors for people trying to cut calories, can alter your microbiome in ways that mimic metabolic disease. But the most surprising food triggers are the healthy-looking ones, the colorful salads loaded with raw nightshades, the whole grain bread marketed as high fiber, the plant-based meat alternatives filled with gums, stabilizers, and emulsifiers that scrape the gut lining like sandpaper, the protein bars that promise strength but hide gut-disrupting alcohol sugars, the trendy nut milks that contain thickening agents your gut cannot break down. These foods don't slam into your system like a wrecking ball. They nibble away at the foundation. They create microinflammation, just enough to confuse your immune system, slow your metabolism, disrupt your hormones, and cloud your thinking. And once your immune system is triggered by these irritants, it doesn't simply react. It overreacts. It begins to treat ordinary foods like threats. It produces inflammatory chemicals that circulate through your bloodstream, reaching your joints, brain, skin, and fat cells. Suddenly, your knees hurt, not because you've aged, but because your immune system is inflamed. Your brain feels foggy, not because you're tired, but because inflammation has crossed the blood-brain barrier. Your skin breaks out, not because of genetics, but because toxins that should have been filtered out are now slipping into circulation. Your weight won't move, not because you lack willpower, but because your cells can no longer hear insulin's messages clearly. And all of this starts with what's on your plate. Day after day, meal after meal, pattern after pattern. The danger isn't a single food eaten once, it's the repetition, the daily bread, the morning cereal, the lunchtime wrap, the evening seed oil stir fry, the healthy snacks between meals, the weekend indulgences. You are never giving your gut lining time to heal because the irritants keep coming like waves hitting the same fragile shoreline. But here's the beautiful part. The body is desperate to heal, and the moment you remove the triggers, it begins repairing itself automatically. Within days, inflammation quiets. Within weeks, cravings fade. Within months, metabolism revives. The gut lining, which replaces itself constantly, begins to strengthen like new armor. And the foods that once tricked your immune system into panic finally lose their power over you. You cannot out-train, out-supplement, or out-willpower the damage caused by the wrong foods. You can work out for an hour and undo the benefits in 5 minutes with the wrong bite. But when you understand which foods trigger your gut's alarms and which foods support its repair, everything changes. This is the moment where clarity replaces confusion, where cause finally becomes clear, and where transformation begins, not with more effort, but with the right choices. There's a point where people stop and say, but how does all of this actually work inside my body? And that question matters because when you understand the biology, not the buzzwords, you finally see why your health has been slipping, why your energy feels inconsistent, why no diet ever seems to work the same way twice, why your skin flares up unpredictably, and why your mood can shift without warning. Everything you experience on the outside is a reflection of what's happening on the inside, and it all comes back to one hidden battlefield, the gut. Not the stomach you think about when you're hungry, but the long, delicate ecosystem inside you that controls almost every system in your body without you ever noticing. Inside your gut lives an entire rainforest of microbes, trillions of them. Some are friendly, some neutral, and some become dangerous when fed the wrong things. These microbes digest food, regulate your immune system, produce vitamins, and even create neurotransmitters that influence your mood. But they're also sensitive. When you bombard them with foods that irritate the lining of your gut, they shift out of balance. The helpful species shrink. The aggressive species bloom, and the chemicals they produce begin to change. This shift is called dysbiosis, and it's the silent engine behind fatigue, bloating, weight gain, inflammation, and unpredictable health swings. Dysbiosis doesn't simply stay in your gut, it spreads its influence like a ripple. Harmful bacteria produce toxins, endotoxins, that pass through weakened gut walls. When the barrier becomes compromised, your gut lining, only one cell thick, is intended to be tight, selective, protective. But irritants like processed foods, seed oils, sugars, artificial additives, and plant defense compounds pry open the tight junctions between those cells. This is what people refer to as leaky gut, though in reality it's not a leak, it's a breach. A microscopic breach that allows toxins, undigested food particles, and bacterial fragments to drift into your bloodstream. The moment they enter, your immune system reacts. It's doing its job. It sees these foreign particles as threats and sends out inflammatory messengers, cytokines, to neutralize them. But when the breach happens every day, meal after meal, your immune system never gets to stand down. You enter a low-grade battle state, a chronic inflammation loop that exhausts your body. It steals energy because fighting inflammation consumes enormous metabolic resources. Your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, slow down because they're constantly exposed to inflammatory chemicals. They become less efficient, meaning your energy drops, your metabolism stalls, and your body shifts into fat storage mode because it believes it's under stress. Hormones also begin to misfire. Cortisol rises to manage the ongoing immune activity, disturbing sleep, raising blood sugar, and encouraging belly fat. Insulin becomes less effective, not because of sugar alone, but because inflammation blocks the pathways insulin uses to communicate with your cells. Even thyroid hormones struggle to reach their destination, leaving you cold, tired, and mentally foggy. None of this happens randomly. It's biology responding to perceived danger, and the danger started in your gut. Your brain feels the effects too. When inflammatory molecules seep into circulation, they can cross the blood-brain barrier and alter how neurons communicate. Mood swings, anxiety, depression, poor focus, and brain fog often trace back to inflammation driven by gut dysfunction. It's not in your head, it's in your gut, sending the wrong signals to your head. Over 90% of your body's serotonin is made in the gut. When your microbes are out of balance, your serotonin production shifts, your motivation drops, and your resilience weakens. Even your detoxification system begins to falter. The liver, overwhelmed by incoming toxins from a compromised gut, becomes sluggish. You may feel puffy, sluggish, or inflamed, not because you're aging, but because your liver is processing more than it was designed to handle. Skin issues like acne, eczema, rashes, and premature aging appear because toxins that should have been filtered out are now escaping. Biological cascade triggered by a damaged gut lining and an overstimulated immune system. Once you learn this, the confusion ends. You realize you're not broken, lazy, or genetically doomed. You've been fighting a biological imbalance that can only be fixed by addressing the root cause. Because when the gut heals, inflammation calms, mitochondria revive, hormones balance, detox pathways clear, the mind sharpens, and the body finally returns to the state it's been trying to reach all along. The moment people hear the word protocol, they often imagine something complicated, restrictive, or overwhelming. But the truth is that healing the gut doesn't require a dozen steps or a shelf full of supplements. The body is remarkably intelligent, and when you remove the things that harm it and supply the things that nourish it, it begins repairing itself automatically. The problem is that most people never give their gut the chance to heal because they keep feeding the very irritants that create the damage. That's why the protocol starts with one decisive action, removing the primary trigger that's been sabotaging your body for years. When you take out the main irritant, it's like finally turning off the fire alarm in a house that's been ringing nonstop. The immune system can breathe, the gut lining can repair, and the body can exit the survival mode it's been stuck in. For many people, this trigger is a food they eat multiple times a day without thinking. It might be a grain they've been told is wholesome. It might be a seed oil hiding in nearly every packaged product. It might be a sugar substitute they thought was helping them cut calories. It might even be a trendy health food packed with emulsifiers or gums. The one thing removal works not because it adds complexity, but because it subtracts chaos. When you remove the irritant, inflammation begins to fall within days. Gut permeability starts to repair within weeks. Microbial balance begins to shift. And once that space is created, you can add in the 3 daily additions that accelerate healing, energize your cells, and help your gut rebuild the protection it lost. The first addition is always something that feeds the good microbes, the ones responsible for producing anti-inflammatory compounds, repairing your gut lining, and regulating your immune response. These microbes thrive on polyphenols and resistant fibers found in specific vegetables, cooked and cooled, starches, and deeply colored plant foods. When you consume these, you're not feeding yourself alone. You're feeding an entire ecosystem inside you. And when the right microbes flourish, they create metabolites that nourish the gut lining, strengthen the tight junctions between cells, and reduce cravings driven by harmful bacteria. You begin to feel fuller faster, cravings weaken, and mood steadies because your gut-brain axis starts firing correctly again. The second addition is healthy fats that actually stabilize cell membranes rather than inflame them. These fats help repair the gut lining because every cell in your digestive tract is made of a fatty membrane. When you consume unstable oxidized oils, those membranes weaken. But when you supply clean, stable fats found in foods like olive oil, avocados, and certain nuts, you provide the raw materials your cells need to rebuild. These fats also signal your hormones to calm down inflammation, balance blood sugar, and shift your body away from fat storage and toward fat burning. It's not the absence of fat that heals you, it's the presence of the right kind. The third addition is what most people underestimate: powerful gut-healing compounds that soothe inflammation and strengthen the integrity of the gut barrier. Certain herbs, spices, and plant extracts have been used for thousands of years because they naturally calm immune overactivation and support the regeneration of gut cells. These compounds help the gut lining turn over faster, reduce oxidative stress, and protect against microbes that thrive when the gut is weak. This is where many people feel the difference most dramatically. Bloating quiets, energy rises, digestion becomes smoother, and sleep improves because your body is no longer fighting a silent internal war. There's a reason this protocol feels almost surgical in its simplicity. It removes the irritant, rebalances the gut microbiome, repairs the cellular structure, and arms the gut lining with the tools it needs to defend itself. Most people try to force their bodies into healing through discipline, restriction, or intense exercise, but the body doesn't heal through force. It heals through cooperation. When you stop overwhelming it and start supporting it, the body responds quickly and predictably. The brain clears, the skin glows, the waistline shrinks, the joints loosen, the cravings vanish. Because once the gut is no longer under attack, every system becomes free to do the job it was designed to do. There comes a moment in every healing journey when belief must be replaced by evidence. Not vague hope, not motivation, not maybe this will work, but measurable truth your body gives you when you finally remove the foods that hurt you and support the systems that are trying desperately to repair you. That is why the 30-day truth test exists. It's not a diet, not a challenge, not a trend. It is a biological experiment where the subject is you, the variables are your daily habits, and the outcome is the purest proof you can ever get about what's been damaging your health and what's been restoring it. When you commit to 30 days of removing your primary irritant and following the core additions, you allow your gut lining to reset for the first time in years. You give your immune system a break from constant alarms. You give your mitochondria the chance to switch from survival mode back into energy production mode. Most people don't realize how quickly the body responds when the gut stops being bombarded by inflammatory triggers. Within the first week, the immune system begins to stand down. Inflammation starts to fade. You may notice reduced bloating, less brain fog, fewer cravings, and deeper sleep. These aren't coincidences. These are biological markers that your gut barrier is beginning to seal. Your microbiome starts shifting in ways you can't see but absolutely feel. The microbes that once fed on sugars, starches, and gut-irritating compounds lose their fuel, while the beneficial species start to grow, producing short-chain fatty acids that soothe inflammation and strengthen gut-lining cells from the inside out. By the second week, your mitochondria begin to respond. When inflammation is high, mitochondria hunker down, becoming sluggish and protective. But when the daily flood of inflammatory particles slows, these mitochondria open back up, increase energy output, and unlock metabolic flexibility. This is when people say things like, "I feel lighter, I have more energy," or "my cravings are almost gone." The reason is that your cells are finally communicating without interference. Insulin begins working more efficiently, cortisol starts to normalize, and your thyroid hormones stop hitting roadblocks. Your body doesn't just feel different, it starts working differently. By week 3, your body begins revealing deeper changes. Your skin may clear because your liver is no longer overwhelmed by toxins leaking through a damaged gut barrier. Your joints may feel smoother because inflammatory cytokines are no longer attacking cartilage. Your thoughts may become sharper because neuroinflammation is declining and serotonin production in the gut is stabilizing. Even your emotional resilience improves because your gut microbes, those tiny chemists, are finally producing the neurotransmitters that help regulate mood, motivation, and calm. By week 4, the truth is undeniable. You have created enough distance between your cravings, skin flares, irritability, mood shifts, brain fog. Not because the food is bad universally, but because your biology is telling you clearly that this food creates internal chaos your gut cannot tolerate. This single test removes all guesswork, shows you exactly what the problem has been, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. The 30-day truth test is the moment your health becomes a partnership between you and your body instead of a battle. You stop blaming your age, your genetics, your willpower. You stop chasing short-lived fixes. You begin to trust your biology because it is finally speaking without being drowned out by inflammation and irritation. And the most empowering part is that once you experience this clarity, you no longer make choices out of fear or confusion. You make them out of intelligence. You understand which foods align with your biology and which ones sabotage it. You finally feel what true health feels like, and once you feel it, you refuse to return to a life where your gut is under attack and your energy is chained to foods your body has been begging you to remove.